And welcome back to another live stream. We're doing the Costa del Sol Chatter today, and Lisa, welcome back. And
Hello, Bill.
you have a guest with you today.
I do in my studio. Yes, Arturo Lopez. He is a lawyer here on the Costa del Sol in Fuengirola,
Yeah.
with other offices in Calahonda and La Cala.
Hello,
Yeah.
Bill.
Hi, Arturo. It's very nice to see you. And we're going to be sort of picking up some kind of legal things today and legal questions, Arturo.
Come with
Uh,
me.
and
But don't surprise me, please. Next time I can be better prepared.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing I just want to say to you, you're frozen, guys. We can hear you fine, but you're frozen. Try turn your camera off and on again and see if that does it.
I
Okay.
will. I will. It's never.
Oh, I think that they've actually gone out and they're going to rejoin us. These things happen sometimes if the internet varies a little bit. So Arturo and Lisa will be back with us in just a second.
Back.
You are back, indeed you are.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, Arturo, is that I don't know if it's because the legal systems are very different, and I'm going to say between the UK and Spain, but yeah, I know people listen from a lot of other European countries. Is there something fundamentally difficult about the Spanish legal system, or is it something in our brains that just doesn't sort of register?
No. I think basically it's a problem of language.
You think so?
Remember that the English system and the continental European system comes from different sources, absolutely
Right.
different.
Yeah.
So Britain took a long time, to try to harmonize their laws to the European system. We didn't need that because
Right.
Spain is a part of the Roman law. So the French, the Italian, many other countries has very similar laws. So
Right.
it's more problematic for British, yes.
So if you have someone, I don't know, from France coming and settling here, they're not going to have the same shock about the
No,
legal system
no.
as we seem to.
Not only that, he would be surprised, because what French doesn't know is that in Spain, we copied the Napoleonic civil code to make ours 150 years ago. So it
Right.
happens that
Okay.
our civil laws are extremely similar to the French ones.
Yeah, and I believe that's also true in terms of inheritance and things, isn't it? That there are very
Absolutely, yes.
similar, very similar laws about inheritance in Spain and France. That was my understanding anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It is here, and France too. We have what we call the forced thirds. An inheritance must be split in three thirds. The
Yes.
first goes forced to the descendants in equal
Right.
parts. The second third can be given to only one of the descendants, and only the third is really free of this free disposal.
Right. Okay.
So
Okay.
you cannot give all your goods to the pets association, for instance. Only
Yeah.
a
No,
third.
that's really sad, isn't it?
Well, I have my own opinion. I think that the free of will provokes a lot of insecurities in your family. I
Right.
think that something must be forced to be given to your sons. And if our intuition and our heart are telling
Yeah.
us to give our assets to our children, is because of reason.
Yeah.
So uh, I have my concerns about absolutely free disposition of assets in your last
Right.
will.
Yeah.
You can be
Lisa,
convinced by anyone, for instance.
Lisa, I think you've got some questions for Arturo. You can explain a little bit about what kind of a lawyer he is, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask, because a lot of people, especially English people, think to themselves, "Oh, what do you specialize in?" And I wanted Arturo to explain why that's different here than it would be, say, in England.
Yes.
No, honestly, in most of the big Spanish cities is exactly the same as in London. I mean, you have a specialist only for liquidating the assets of a company, and another specialist only in divorces with children. it's not my case, but it's not my case because I'm a Costa Solian. I'm not in a big city. I handled in my last 3 decades enormous amount of different things, many different things. So I'm studying all the time studying, and then you get many expertises.
Yeah. So, what would you say? Would you say that you would liken yourself to a barrister?
Yes.
Because you do. There are a lot of conveyancing lawyers here. Would you say that that separates you from the rest? And what else would you say makes you different than any other lawyer on the Costa del Sol?
Yes. Clearly, the equivalency in Spain is not the same, but if I was in England, I am a barrister. That's clear. I go to court hearing very frequently, and I prepare the cases from the beginning to the end. I go there, I question, I do my reasonings, I appeal. That's what a barrister in England does. But yes, there is something I do in my office. In my office, I am the one who prepare the strategy in the very beginning of the case. I would say I'm how to say that? I'm specialized in legal strategy. So I used to prepare a roadmap in the very beginning with the evidences I have, the witnesses I have, and with this roadmap, other lawyers can continue my work, or I can even continue myself.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that it's in the UK. I mean, lawyers. I don't know about you, Bill, but if you've had the unwelcome bill from a UK lawyer, but they charge an enormous amount of money. I think perhaps what Arturo is trying to say is that he wants the problem resolved with the least expenditure as possible and least emotional turmoil for the client. So therefore, in the first instance, you need to have a proper strategy. It's not like, let's see how far this goes and how much money I can squeeze out of you. It's more a case of what can I do for you the best? Because if I actually give you great advice and everything is settled to your satisfaction, then you're going to come back to me for other things, which is more of a long-term goal, I think, for your business. You were explaining this to me earlier on.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to blame on my colleagues. Everyone has his proper style. My style is that usually I insist if you have a plan in the very beginning about the different things that can happen, how to act in case it happens that, what if it fails one of the witnesses? What if I get this document? What if I get this expertise? This roadmap, because I use that word, helps a lot to decide if it's better in this moment to settle instead of going to court, or if after starting a court case, perhaps we can again have a chat with the other part, or we can improve our counter offers to make an arrangement. How to explain? I'm a chess player. I mean, I used to, for me, a claim is not a one sense thing. It has a lot of different branches, and it can be open with another actions.
Yeah.
It's difficult to explain, but it's a complete thing. It's not an unidirectional thing.
Yeah, because Bill, I know that we discussed this before. I know that a lot of people on Costa del Sol are concerned about squatters. I know you were going to ask that question, and Arturo has dealt with a lot of squatters, so it would be nice to explain to your viewers some of the laws and information around this situation, because Arturo just had an emergency call just before we went live from a poor lady who is in England at the moment and who has had, oh, here we go again. Am I freezing?
Yeah, hang on. Yep. You have frozen. Okay, I think Lisa's going to come out and back in again. I think it's maybe the cold that's causing some internet problems, or maybe all the activity with the Three Kings today or something is interfering with the signal. Okay, you are back.
Yes, so sorry. I'm going to lead you into your question specifically about squatters and what you'd like your viewers to learn from Arturo.
Yeah, it's you know, I remember a lot of years ago in the UK that there was this terrible problem with what they called squatters' rights. And
Yeah.
what I seem to be seeing now, and I'm talking about 30 or 40 years on from the UK. I don't even know what the situation in the UK is now. I've been here for so many years, but this kind of squatters' right thing came back when I see the difficulty that people are having. That it seems that squatters seem to have more rights sometimes than the actual owner of the house.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, give us some information about cases or what the laws are here surrounding squatters. People have a real fear of leaving their houses and going home, and I know several people who have that fear and have to
Yes.
install massive security, and it seems to be happening all over the place. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe that's the publicity surrounding it. No?
Yes, yes. I really think that since the lockdown, the medias especially has created a fake alarm
Mm,
on the reality of the squatters. First of all, they are not so much. And second, and more important, they are using the term squatters or illegal occupants to
mm.
include two very important category or kind of people that they are not squatters at all. And I tell you, mainly half of the supposedly squatters are in fact ex-owners that couldn't pay the mortgage, and the
Right.
bank has repossessed the house and they still didn't evict them. These people are not squatters. They are
No, no.
living in their homes. They lost the home because they couldn't pay. This is the main protection the law is giving. Why? Because they had a previous right. So these
Yes.
people cannot be evicted, and there are some reasons in which if they can get what is called a vulnerability report, they can get important suspensions and even the stopping of the eviction.
Mm.
Right.
Another, sorry for continuing, but
No,
it just
You
to
know,
explain that
keep going, keep
the
no,
going.
keep going.
second, the second big amount of what people call squatters are not squatters, are tenants. Tenants who, for the reason it is, they are not paying. And for that, there is a civil procedure. And I suppose in Great Britain happens the same. You cannot just evict your tenant by yourself the day after he unpaid one rent. So
Right.
here, you must go to court. And there is a procedure. And again, there are reasons to delay or to stop the eviction. So who is really a squatter?
Yeah, that's
Mm.
the question.
Claro.
Right. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
squatter, in fact, purely is a person who gets into another one's home.
Mm.
And there are two kind of real estate assets can be occupied. One is again, the bank's repossession empty houses. There
Mm.
are thousands of houses, apartments, villas, small cabins that are actually owned by the banks, but they don't have the money to maintain them, to occupy them, to putting again on sale. So they just leave them permanently empty until they can sell in a big pack
Mm.
these to an investment fund. So what happens with these empty houses? People has some necessity. There's a lot of young people who doesn't have any place to go. So when they see there is a whole building empty and they
Right.
know that it belongs to a bank, if they can, they get in. This
Mm.
is a squatter.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yes.
what happens in the instance of, say,
Sorry.
a certain group of people? I won't say specifically who actually target a villa when they know somebody's in the UK and they just move in when in fact they're not a squatter, they're actually an intruder. I mean,
Yes.
what happens with that?
What happens with that? You're right. Let's use the term intruder. He is a real intruder. And against that, the law, the criminal law, always established what is that. You
Mm.
are getting into another one's home. Home.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not the same to get into an empty. apartment than to get into an apartment belonging to someone and that he was living in. So imagine the case. I put you an example. I am in my home. I go to Paris during 3 weeks on holiday. Ooh, I would like to do that. And when I come back, there is someone in.
Yes.
Come on. Common sense will tell you what to do. You go straight to the police.
Yes.
You show your deeds or you show something who proves you are in. And the
Mm.
police usually goes immediately to identify the guy. And if it's true that he was into your home, he's expelled that same day or in a few days, not more.
Yeah, but I've heard stories, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if you don't report that within 48 hours, it's going to take you much longer to get them out. Is that true? I have no idea.
Venga, I tell you. If you think a crime is committed, your duty is to go immediately to the police. What happens when you waste 1 month in saying something that the police doesn't believe that you were living in? It's just a matter of presumption of truth. If you go the day after, the police doesn't have any reason to think you are lying.
Okay.
But if you go 1 month later, then they could think, but were you living there? Or you just appeared casually, or what? Now you need to give explanations. But for that, the law has a resource. There is a special civil procedure to get rid of these occupants. The procedure is not as special, but only 1 year ago, two, if I remember well, a law changed a little bit the procedure for adding temporary and urgent measure to be taken before the case starts or the court hearing starts. So you can go to a civil court and ask us immediate temporary measure to get the occupant out.
Right.
If the lawyer gets that, he has already 2 goals on his favor, because now the squatter is out and now there will be a court hearing, but the squatter is out. Most of the times they are not interested in continuing the case and they don't appear even to the court hearing. So I insist, as a briefing of my words, I don't think it's difficult to get rid of people, but some precautions are very important. And if you want, I'm going to tell you the tips.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Well, first of all, if I want to go to the police, the first thing I must prove is that I am the owner. So if you have left in the apartment the copies of the deeds, then you cannot get them back. So very important to keep all the documents about the apartment in your hands where you really live, first of all. So the deeds, the copy of the EB, the IBI, the receipts of utilities, electricity, water on your hand, on your name. Why? Because if I go to the police and I show my last electricity bill and you can see that I spent something, then I don't need to prove that I was in. I was in.
Yes.
And also importantly, which you did touch upon there, Arturo, is that you should report it immediately to the police. I mean, time is of the essence.
And then I go with a second tip. If you're not going to live permanently in your apartment, for instance, because you are 4 months in Great Britain and 1 month in Spain, then it's very important the solidarity between neighbors. It's very important that someone in the building could warn you immediately. I had a case just this morning, exactly this morning, and when I inquired about how did my client knew that that there was a squatter in, she told me, well, because my neighbor heard something 5 days ago. That's great, because only happened 5 days ago. We know positively because the neighbor immediately warned her. Second, she had a gardener in charge of maintenance only once per month, but that's enough. Why? Because squatters are not idiots. They used to first have a look on which apartment are they going to get in, who is in, if there are neighbors, let's say, taking care of the property, if there is a gardener or a cleaner who goes in. The more complications you put to a possible squatter, the less chances he is going to be interested in your apartment, and he will
Yeah.
go somewhere else.
Well,
And
yeah. Sorry, I was just going to
Go on.
interject. I think a very good tip, which Arturo has always told our colleagues, is you know, to have proper security is really very much worth it. And there are so many electronic gadgets out there
Absolutely.
that you can use to monitor your home now from wherever you are. There's
Yep.
really no excuse.
Yeah,
sure.
there's
Yeah.
no excuse. Thank you for reminding me, because some months ago I suggested exactly the same to a client who was coming back to UK, and I said, "Well, did you contract the alarm?" No, you don't have any security in your villa.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing.
Yeah, and would it be sensible, Arturo, for people to actually give power of attorney either to a friend who stays here permanently, or a
Yes.
neighbor that they trust, or
Thank you.
even to their administrator, so that if something happens, they can actually work on their behalf?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for reminding me, because this is the one of the more important, but I left it for the end because it involves someone and is going to cost some money.
Yeah,
Yes, all my clients gives me power of attorney. Why?
right.
Because if I have the notice from a neighbor and I need to intervene myself alone with the power of attorney, I can do it alone. So
Yeah,
imagine
sure.
if you give power of attorney to your lawyer or to the administrator of the community, less chances, because perhaps he doesn't want to do the work. But if
Right,
you give it to your advisor and he is warned about the possibility that someone can at any moment phone him to say there is someone in, okay, if he has a power of attorney, he just need to go straight to the police with the collection of documents proving everything regarding the house, the power of attorney, and he can put the police report himself.
right,
So the owner doesn't need to come back from the UK.
Yeah,
right.
so Bill, we're going to come back and rejoin you because today we're having some technical difficulties with the
Stop again, no?
frozen screen. And when we come back, let's prepare your viewers for a lighter subject, which is
Okay,
Burns Night coming up. So we'll be back in
okay,
a minute.
okay, Lisa. Right. Yeah, we have these nights, unfortunately. I was in the middle of a radio show a few months back, and my internet just went off. And because we do it live online, I had to actually connect with my mobile phone and finish the radio show using my mobile phone. Okay,
Okay.
Lisa and Arturo, you are back.
For
Right.
the third time.
Third time lucky. Right. Okay. You
Okay.
you want to talk us through the Burns show, and I have got here the
Yes.
there we go.
Okay, so for all those wonderful Costa del Sol people out there, our very own Scottish Bill Anderson, I'm throwing a tribute to him because I think we can all agree that he has done a wonderful job, especially during lockdown, to inform us consistently. And I think he's probably one of our favourite counsellors here in Mehouse. And so I thought it appropriate, since he is Scottish and I love a good party, to throw a Burns supper. That will be at the garden in El Chaparral on the 25th of January, which is Burns Night, and we're doing all things Scottish. So
Yes.
we already have quite a lot of people coming, and I've had some interesting comments from the Scottish community on the Costa del Sol about how it should be done properly. So I'm actually in a complete tiz now because I'm I'm googling, because I'm half Irish, half English. So what do I know about Burns Night? So I'm now frantically googling every etiquette that surrounds Burns Night. So I'm
Yeah.
going to be an aficionado by the 25th, Bill.
But
But I think what's important for everybody to understand is that Bill, you've given a lot of your time over the years to helping a lot of people in Mee House and surrounding areas. And I think it's really important for us to applaud that and really have a fantastic night. I've got such a great lineup. We've got the fabulous Dave James is going to be DJ. We've got dancing, entertainment. We've got some quite salubrious people giving speeches and poems and all things Scottish and beautiful Burns poems, of course. And most importantly, I've sorted out, I think you can put this up on our screen, a Burns supper menu. And quite frankly, Bill, now is the time to explain to me some of these dishes, because I really just don't know. My friend Google has helped me. But for neeps and tatties,
Okay.
explain, please.
Cullen skink is a kind of a soup which Vicky absolutely adores, and
Okay.
it's made with smoked fish
Okay.
and vegetables, so and slightly creamy. So Cullen skink is a soup. Haggis, neeps, and tatties. Well, this is a traditional Burns fare, obviously. The neeps are turnips, and it's mashed turnips, and they sometimes call them bash neeps and mash it tatties. So it's with turnip and mashed potatoes.
Grand.
So
And
you can't have a haggis, a Burns night without haggis. I mean, it has to happen.
yeah, could you explain to me two things? Haggis, is that sheep's intestines? I know
No,
I've had no.
no, it's not the intestines. No,
I always think that. What is it then?
it's the what we would usually call the offal. So it's made from the lungs and the kidneys and the heart and all these bits.
Okay, it's awful. Yeah,
And then it's mixed with cereals and spices and things. So and traditionally, I think where you're thinking about is that traditionally haggis was actually made and boiled inside a sheep's stomach. Um, so,
okay,
but
that's where I got it from. Yeah.
that's where you got it from. But
Okay.
nowadays, they've got artificial things that hold the haggis together. But yeah,
All right, so they don't boil it in the sheep's stomach anymore then.
not anymore. No, well, they might do on the Isle of Skye or something, but
So nowadays it doesn't have the same taste.
no, because the taste is really in the ingredients rather than in the what it's served in. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And can you explain to me what piping in the haggis is?
Oh well, you see, the haggis is the sort of part of the center of the Burns supper, and the haggis has to be brought in with great ceremony,
Oh.
and then normally what will happen is someone will give an address to the haggis, and and it's a Burns poem which was called to a haggis. And
That's your job, Arturo.
Well,
yeah,
I heard I'm going to intervene with some Scottish dancers. Is
oh
that
yes,
correct?
that's perfectly possible. So you need to repeat after me, Arturo. Fair for your honest sonsy face, great chieftain of the Puddin race.
Hombre, thank you very much.
Oh,
Bill,
no.
listen, I have some difficulties with English. Imagine with what is that? Scottish, Gaelic?
Yes.
It's Lowland Scots. Yeah, it's
Tell
a
me
dialect.
tell me something, Bill. Word on the street is that you're going to be lending your second kilt to Arturo. Is that
Well,
right?
I think that is a very strong possibility.
Okay.
And
Does
you
he
need.
have to wear knickers or not?
Well, I think that as a non-Scottish national wearing a kilt, he might get away with keeping his pants on.
No, don't be worried. I will strictly follow the Scottish protocol.
Okay, just finishing up here because we'll have to go and come back. We're having technical difficulties again. What's homemade Kranaken?
Okay, Kranaken is a dessert made the way I've always made it is with cream and oats and raspberries. So it's a very nice dessert. Very nice
Great.
dessert.
Well, we're really looking forward to it. So, and we'll be back in a minute because we've
Okay.
frozen again.
Yes.
See you soon.
So, if you would like to attend this, I'm going to just put the main thing back on the screen here, the invitation. Um, you need to book your place with Lisa, and here is her number here. Oops. So she's joined us again. Okay, where are we?
We're
Yep,
there.
you're
We're here.
back.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah,
Can
I
you
can see
hear us?
you. You're here. So
Are we freezing again?
I've just said no, you're not. You're fine. I've just said, Lisa, that if people would like to attend,
Yeah.
counts if you can make it. Vicky has her very own Scottish little number,
Yeah.
tartan number that she's going to be wearing.
Oh, very nice.
We're going to. We'll need to do a fitting of the kilt, Arturo,
Absolutely.
Will
because
that involve?
I'm 6 foot tall.
Yes, no, that's the problem. I mean, we are
Yeah,
both very skinny,
yeah.
but you're
You
taller than me.
you might need to wear it up round your chest to get it just above your
Yes.
knee. We
Well,
will
look,
try that. But
I have a feeling that fitting will involve a few wee drams.
it
Did
might
I say that right?
it might just do. And I was just saying, Lisa, if people would like to attend, we need to book a place. And I've put your number up on the screen there,
Yeah, no
so that
problem.
they've got your number to contact you to book a place. But the place is actually filling up very nicely, isn't it?
Oh, it's
Yes.
unbelievable. How my phone has been non-stop for the part.
Right.
I only just started promoting it. I've
Yes.
only just sent out the invitations, and I do believe, which without coming across as a PR, because I'm not, I'm your friend,
Uh-huh.
that you have a tremendous support in this community, and it's really some of the messages. I'm not going to get you all weepy now. Some of the beautiful messages I've heard back from people of all the things that you've done have been really astounding, and it really stands to how you're regarded in this community, which is fantastic. It must be really nice after so much
Well,
hard work for our community.
people are very kind, Lisa, and it really is a very nice gesture for you to organise this. I get a bit embarrassed about these things,
I know you do. I know.
yeah, but
I know.
it's going to be nice just to meet everyone and just to have
Yeah,
a good time,
we're
and
gonna have a
I'm looking forward to that.
we're gonna have a great night. But Bill, I was gonna ask you, did you have any specific questions that you had for Arturo, or
Yeah,
I'm sure you will get plenty from some of the viewers. I know a lot of people get this on catch up. I mean, I've got
sure.
plenty of questions. Just was there anything specific that
Well,
you'd like to
the
ask him?
the other thing, something that happened to me in my first 2 or 3 years here, Arturo, and it had never happened to me in my life before, was that every year I got a fine for doing something wrong. And
Regarding what?
well, I can't remember now. Um, One was to do with the house, and I didn't get a license for doing something on the house, and somebody's, um, a neighbor who was an ex-councillor um, decided to make a denuncia, and I got a fine for that. And I can't really remember now. Something I paid late, because going back to 2002 when I came out here, we didn't have kind of social networks to the same extent as we have now, where you can get information very easily. But I know a lot of people who have fallen foul of things. You never get a warning out here; you just get a fine.
Yes,
Nobody ever comes to you and said, look, what you need to do with this is such and such and such and such. So if you get this organized, it'll be all sorted. No, 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 no. It's a fine and then get it sorted. But, sometimes fines are issued wrongfully, and people do have a right to appeal against a fine, don't they?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All the administrative procedure is extremely similar to what people knows about traffic or car fines. You receive first what is called the denuncia, not straight the fine, is a proposal of a fine.
Right.
There it says all the relevant facts the agent has put in his report, what is the law you broke, and what is the sanction to that. And always the first thing you receive in an administrative procedure is 10 or 15 days to make allegations, alegaciones.
And
This is the place.
that's an
Claro.
appeal. It's an appeal, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. For us, appeal is once there is a firm decision, you want to go to a higher step.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
prefer to say allegations,
Right.
alegaciones. Why? Because when you receive this, what you say, a fine, you are just receiving the version of the agent who reported you. Now
Right.
is your turn to say what you really think it happened. So I put an example. In car fines, there's nothing more to say, honestly. Why? Because
Mhm.
if you were parked in a blue area, they take you a picture, the evidences are so clear, you don't have any defense. But for instance, in building license, which is what I think you are talking about, all
Yeah.
these things with the town hall must, not can, must be always replied with your
Yes.
version, your evidences, your documents. Then you force the administration, the civil servant, in fact, you force him to decide about the matter according to your facts. And if he finally decides against you, fining you, then you have the appeal, you have el recurso de alzada. And even
Right.
so, you have more. No, you have even more. Once you have finished the administrative uh, stair, let's say, you can still go to a proper court, is the administrative court. And then there is a judge. And the judge of the administrative court is not for the administration, usually
Mm.
used to fail on our favor, the citizens. So the problem with administrations is that people cannot waste their time and their money in looking and paying a lawyer or an advisor to follow all the stair of defense. This is the main
Right.
problem. So if you receive
Right.
a fine of 200 euros, honestly, and I'm very embarrassed to say it, if you receive a fine of 200 euros, use the discount in the first 10 days paying instead of
Right.
wasting your time in a lawyer, because very improbably you are going to get any money from the administration. So the lawyer is
Yes.
going to
Right.
cost you more. But in
Yeah.
building licenses, I strongly recommend always to defend yourself with a
Right.
lawyer, of course.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
So
because the fine. I'm sorry, Lisa. The fines for building infractions could turn into
yeah,
thousands of euros, couldn't they?
yeah. Then
They
it's
can.
well worth your while, and well worth your while going to a lawyer who can actually strategize for you and not just take your money. I think that's really that's true of any business, actually, with any long-term plan.
Yeah.
You can
Sure.
lose money in the beginning, but in the end, if you're honest and trustworthy and you genuinely do your best, it's true for any business that I've ever run. Yeah, you sometimes lose in the beginning, but you end up gaining in the end.
Mm.
But turning to a lighter subject to finish off our
Okay.
disastrously technical evening that we've had, I have a question, and you can answer it very quickly. For the two of you, what three people, living or dead, would you take out to dinner, and where on the Costa del Sol? Off
Who
you
is the
go,
question
Arturo.
for?
Both of you. You start, Arturo.
Me,
Yeah.
with no doubt. I would like to have the Mr. President of the government I would like to have the Vice President Miss Yolanda, and I would like to have the chief of the opposition, Partido Popular, in my table.
Why?
Why? Because I want to ask them the very first question. How is possible, sirs, you three smart people cannot arrange and fix all the problems of this country, and you just waste your time in stupid things we are not interested in, and you're spending our money? I would like to have this conversation. Where? In front of the sea, in a relaxing place, the harbor.
Oh,
in
yes,
Marbella.
we were just there, Bill.
All
Harbor
right.
in
Okay.
Marbella.
Nice.
Fabulous.
Nice.
Okay, you fast answer there, Bill.
And
Yeah.
you, Bill?
Okay. I would have lunch with Lisa and Arturo and Vicky, and yeah, let's do it somewhere by the sea. That would be nice.
Lovely. Oh, Bill, thanks so much for having
Thank you
us
very
on.
much.
And please
Thank
do
you,
pass
Arturo.
on any questions people might have for Arturo. He's got a lot of common sense.
Sure. What's the best way if people want to contact you, Arturo? What is the best way for them to do that?
The best way is to send me an email, because
Okay.
honestly, I'm very busy. And the staff I have at the office, they are not lawyers, they are assistants. So the only
Right.
way to really involve me in something is to send me an email explaining me the issues, and I promise I will reply. I
Yeah.
promise.
So you
Right.
you need to go onto his website, www.lopezlegal.es,
Okay.
and you can immediately contact him through that, and you will get a fast response. But I think it's important to tell people, and they often don't understand this, that when you are emailing Arturo, you need to put as many facts and information,
Absolutely.
and attach
Sure.
as many documents as you possibly can, because it's going to make him understand your problem a lot easier, instead of just calling up and wanting him to just listen to you for an hour. He needs to have all the facts in front of him, and that's why it's best to be sent an email, so then he can plan his strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is the website there. I've just actually looked it up and copied the address over. So if people want to get in touch with
Correct.
you,
Yes, that's
Arturo,
it.
they can do it via your website, and there is actually a section that says contact, so they can do it that way.
Lovely, Bill. Well, listen, we'll see you soon for the kilt.
The kilt fitting.
Kilt fitting.
Yes.
And a weed ram.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Arturo,
Thanks for
thank you so
having
much
us.
for joining us this evening.
Thank
Thank you to you, Bill.
Being
See you
great.
soon.
Lovely
care.
to see you both. You take care, everyone. And everyone, Feliz Reyes for tomorrow, for those of you who are celebrating. And have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you next week. Anne will be joining me next week, and we're picking up on any of the Brexit stuff that's still kicking around.
Mhm.
Take care, everyone.
See you soon.